Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Fairhurst, and welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories and Business. I'm really excited today because I know we have so many of you fabulous entrepreneurs who watch the podcast and you're on the podcast. But today we have a lady who is going to be able to give us so many tips and help us to gain in our success. So today we are talking to Bente Roycroft, and she is a powerhouse leader and a CEO who spent 2 decades building and leading companies with purpose and being authentic. So thank you, Bente, for being here today. Was there anything else that you'd like to tell the audience before we get started?
Oh man, I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you so much for having me, Julie. Um, yeah, let's dive in. Let's go to
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So your first job, I think it was, or
Mhm.
career, out of university was with a
Yeah.
company called Navis. And
Yes,
so
that's
what
right.
did they teach you about leadership and resilience?
Oh man, so much. So much. So I graduated with an English literature degree. And there is
Mm.
not a ton that one can do with an English degree right out of university. And so I ended up moving out to Edmonton where there was tons of work. And through some relationships, I was able to get this job with an environmental scientist who was looking for someone to write some technical reports. And so I was paid something like $20 per report. It took me about 6 hours to write each report. It was not the best return on investment. However, it was these scientists and me. So it was a very, very small group. And and the way that we were able to grow as an organization is we ended up getting this contract in the oil sands. And when we got that contract back in the day, then we had to hire a whole bunch of people. And so the scientists were out there doing the work. And so they said, "Hey, Benta, can you figure out how to hire all of these people?" So I'm Googling how to hire and Googling how to, do different aspects of HR and get them all oriented and all of that stuff. And so eventually I ended up learning how to do the bookkeeping and all the things. And so we started to grow this business. So we grew quickly from 4 people. And then I think we were up to around 50 people or so. And I started to pursue an MBA so that we could figure out what we were actually doing with a little bit of strategy and education behind it. And so the lessons, going back to your question about what I was what I was learning about leadership and resilience at that time, um, it's really that you can do so much if you just put your mind to it. I had no experience doing HR, doing books, doing any sort of strategy, figuring out how to grow a company, even dealing with the leases, dealing with um, the vendors and clients and all of that. Um, but you know, you just put yourself out there and you can make it happen. And so I put in a lot of work and I leaned on the people around me and we kind of struggled through together. And we ended up growing the company to about 100 people before it was sold. And so it was an incredible experience. And I think that one thing I latch onto in this story is that I know so many women that are not comfortable applying for work or trying things that they don't have experience or training in. And I'm just, I really don't think that you need the education and the training and the experience to get your foot in the door. Like you can try, you can give it a go, just do it, and you're going to be able to build up the confidence that you need, even if you don't have all of that experience right out of the gate. So yeah, so I learned a ton at Navis. It was a great experience for me for sure.
Wow. That
Yeah.
was great. That was just great advice. It's just because so often people will read these advertisements and then they'll
Mm.
go, whoa, like,
Hmm.
I can't possibly do any of that. I don't have any of that experience. But but you have the life experience, you have the
Yeah,
tools that you might need to do the job. And I
yeah,
love that. Just apply anyway. Who
just apply.
cares if they say no?
Yeah,
If you don't apply, you
yeah,
will never know.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
such great advice. And so thank goodness for Google, right?
Oh my
You know,
goodness. Yes.
I mean, no, really, to be able to, and for you to just go, okay, now I got to figure this out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you can figure things out. I think that that's the even now in my current role and in my current organization, um, there isn't anything that we can't figure out, whether it's through our networks, people that we know. It's still, I don't have a family of entrepreneurs. I am the first one, and but my family still has a ton of experience and wisdom that they can share. I'm part of different groups that I can also glean tons of experience shares from. And so just being able to hear from other people how they would tackle situations and tons of reading, right? Like that's
Mhm.
it's you can figure things out if you think through it and
Yeah,
muddle
yeah,
your way through.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
tell us what you're doing now because you've gone in and started another company with someone or
Yeah,
jumped in there. So what do
jumped
you
in. Yeah,
jumped in? So
yeah.
tell us
So
where you're at.
yeah, so the company that I was with previously, one of the things that we struggled with as an organization was our IT. And so we were looking for any IT company that could come in and just be normal, Like a lot of IT people, when they come into your organization, they want to prescribe a lot of things, and they don't really understand your business. And so we were a small business, but we were a growing business. And so we needed an IT company that was going to come in, meet us where we are, and kind of grow with us. And so I got someone's business card, Luke Williamson, and I gave him a call. And at that time, it was just him and one other employee that he had. And so he came in and he started doing RIT. And we just loved him. And so I worked with Luke as a client first. And then when Navis was sold in 2014, then Luke approached me and asked me if I would buy into his business to Accurate and help him grow this company. And so long story short, I moved over to Accurate and moved from the environmental sciences world into IT. And so now we have offices in both Edmonton and Calgary. We have about 60 employees now. We've started growing with a couple of acquisitions. And so it's been an awesome journey so far. So
Wow.
yeah.
And so what do you do? What kind of
Yeah.
services do you offer?
Sure. So we do any sort of um, network design, and then any support that goes along with that. We'll also do, we'll help out with the cybersecurity. That's a huge thing right now,
Hmm.
and then strategy is another massive part of IT right now, because there's so many directions that companies can take IT, whether it's with AI or
Right.
really getting into the security space, depending on which industry you're in. And so we'll offer the gambit. So I focus more so if you're familiar with EOS or traction, we're definitely a traction shop. And
Mm,
so Luke is the visionary, I'm the integrator. And so he's out there uh, in the communities a lot and doing some awesome things in Edmonton and Calgary, and I focus on how we're going to structure and build the business.
wow. What a
Yeah,
great team it sounds like.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very lucky with my business partner for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
So do you work, sorry, I'm just going to take a little sip of
yeah,
water
yeah,
here. So do you work mainly with larger companies or
yeah.
do you work with smaller startup companies? Like who is it that you're helping out there?
Yeah, so we started when we first started, we were working with a lot of smaller organizations.
Mm,
And as you know, this is an 18-year-old company now, and we're kind of like an 18-year-old um teenager, right? Like we've
yeah.
we've we've grown to that point, and so we have way more structure. We're kind of on our own. We're independent, doing all of these things, right? And so when we started, we were working with a lot of smaller businesses, and as we've grown, our companies, our clients are getting larger and larger. And
Mhm.
so I would say that the average size is anywhere between, 50 and 200 users. That's generally who we are working with at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, that's
Mhm.
big. That's definitely so you're the CEO.
I am, yes.
Yeah. So was there a moment in this new career of yours where you said, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm built for this because you come from that a completely different
Yes.
working environment, I guess I would say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And industry, I meant to say. And
Mhm.
so, and now here you are doing this, or
Mhm.
so how, like, well, how did you develop, or where did that confidence come from?
It's such a funny question. I just feel like it's a great question. It's just it hits home because confidence is not something that comes naturally to me. So I would say that when I was younger, then I was, the kid whose report cards would come home and be high grades, but then the comments would be like, Benta speaks too quietly, and Benta doesn't speak up enough in class, and all of these things. And she doesn't really interact too much with other kids. And so um, what I was always very anxious to be around too many people and to be with people that I felt intimidated by.
Mhm.
And so the confidence, I think, going back to that first story, it comes with experience and just putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Because the reality, I think, and I'm sure that you experienced this as well in your entrepreneurial journey, um, when when we started out, then I think that things were going pretty well, like we're bumping along and things are okay. And then you hit this little valley, and we call it the valley of death. And it's like this is either going to kill us or it's going to make us stronger. And
Mhm.
so that might be, hiring your first really high overhead person, like a finance person, right? You're suddenly going to spend, let's say, $70,000 on someone, and you haven't spent overhead money on someone like that. And so you're going to spend a chunk of money, and you're a small company, and that's terrifying. And it's either going to go really well or not. And so you kind of go through this valley, and you don't know if you're the right person to run the company, because are you making the right decision? Are you hiring the right person? Are you looking for the right skill set? um, all of those questions come to
Mhm.
mind, and you get through it, and and then you kind of carry on in the journey, and you hit another valley of death, and that next valley of death is harder, and it's more complicated because suddenly you have more people you're dealing with, um, 40 people, and you have more clients that you're dealing with, and you want to make sure that you're doing the work well. And so with every single challenge that we face, I think that we realize that um, we are capable of doing more than we think we are, and we are and if we get through this challenge, we're going to be more equipped to take on the next challenge.
Yeah.
And so every single, we've gone through some even a business model change. That was a huge change for us. We've gone through some leadership team changes where, it's really disruptive to the entire company. um, but with every single change that we go through, um, we learn, we get better, and we get a little bit stronger and a little bit more confident to take on the next challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you feel then in the beginning like you were a bit, did you have a bit of that imposter syndrome going on? Like, what
Yeah.
the heck am I doing sitting here?
Sometimes I think that imposter syndrome is like, I don't know if it ever leaves. I wonder if it's something
Mhm.
that it's just a, just
Mhm.
part of life.
Yeah.
Um, because I often feel that, where
Yeah.
it's like, okay, am I? am I equipped to take on this next
Yeah.
thing? I don't know that I'm the right person. I'm gonna be found out now because um
Hmm.
I'm not actually like I'm not an IT person, right? And so for me to be running an IT company
Yeah.
is that comes to mind a lot. I've
Yes.
never run a company as the CEO this size. And so for me to, just boldly go is um not, like of course I'm not equipped for that. But at the same
Yes.
time, if not me, then who? And
Hmm.
here I am. So
Yeah.
let's just do it.
I
And
think, yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, that's great.
I think imposter syndrome, I think you're right. I think we all have it,
Yeah,
somewhat in us, and I don't know if it ever really goes away. And as you were talking, I was thinking about my years in the beginning of real estate.
yeah,
I would knock on the door to go into my appointment.
yeah,
When the door opened, I had to become a different person.
yeah, yeah,
I could not be, I was still me, but
yeah.
I had to, I'm going to call it act.
Right. Fake it till you make it.
Fake
All
it
of
till
those
you
sorts of
make it.
things.
You had
Yes.
to. You had to.
Yeah.
And so I think that I love how you talk about, that you felt it and you don't know if it never ever goes away. And I think you're absolutely right. I thought
Yeah.
about, yeah, you're absolutely right. So I think for anybody listening out there, the lesson from what us two here are saying is don't let imposter syndrome kill you.
Yeah.
Don't let it
I
overtake your life.
I think that's exactly it because I think that you can fall victim to imposter syndrome and let it be a ceiling for you, or you can just break through that and
Yeah.
and try. And you don't have to go crazy, but just keep um in Atomic Habits, the book
Oh,
Atomic
yes.
Habits. Yes.
Yeah.
So he talks about casting a vote for yourself. And I love that idea because with every vote that you cast for yourself, that you're able to do something, then you're no longer faking it. It doesn't have to be a big, bold thing, but if you can
Mhm.
just do a little bit more than you think you can, then you're casting a vote for yourself that you can do more than you think you can.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, I think the more comfortable you get doing things that you don't feel ready to do.
Hmm.
And I think that's so important because um especially today we hear so many podcasts and things about messages about being true to yourself and living out your values, doing these things. So I think it's really important to do that and do it honestly. And what I mean by that is you don't have to trick yourself into believing that you can do things. You can actually do the things that are going to break that ceiling for you and live out your values doing whatever it is that you are doing in the realm that you are doing it. And so yeah, so I referenced this like fake it till you make it idea,
Yeah.
and there's some truth to it, but at the same time it's not fake if you're doing it, if you're doing
Right. Yes,
it,
of course.
like
I
do it.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. I
Yeah.
totally understand what you mean. And really, if you think about it, like anybody who's gone and gotten a brand new job, like
Hmm.
my husband has a zillion years in this industry that he's in. And the first he went to this got this new corporate position. And I
Yeah.
remember the first day he came home, his eyes were like,
What have I done?
like, and he knows probably 80% more than anybody else that he was
Yeah.
surrounded by.
Yeah.
But it was just the newness and the
Exactly.
systems and all
Yeah.
of those things. And so you just like you got to just go with it.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that is just great advice. So now you talk about blending strategy with being authentic. So, how do you stay true to yourself in an environment that often rewards people being conforming?
Okay. That's a great question. I think a lot of companies, a lot of organizations talk about core values. And
Hmm.
I think that as a as an entrepreneur, um and a business owner, I'm fortunate in the sense that our business values very much align with my values. And so I think that's important for employees as well, though. You know, if you are joining an organization and you want to um, live your career well and do your career well, it kind of has to align with who you are as a person and the values that you have. So if you really care about quality and you're going to work for a really, you know, an organization that values speed and price over quality, that's going to be a challenge for you, you know?
Right.
And so for me to come into Accurate um, and to lead well, it means that I'm leaning towards my core values. And and the beautiful thing is that the core values that I have really do align with our company core values.
Yeah.
And so we're not so much looking to conform as it is to build a an organization that fits us. And and it's true to our clients as well. Like our clients know our core values,
Hmm.
and we sell to our core values, we hire to our core values, we fire to our core values. All of that is true, and our closest clients are the ones that share those same that same sort of
Yeah.
mentality. And so so yeah, so it's not so much about conforming as it is about just building up that organization that you're proud of.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And I guess for people who come along, yeah, you can, it's very difficult to work somewhere if your values don't align because then
Mhm.
you're not happy. And if you're not happy, then you
Yeah,
won't be there for long.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So what do you think is one of the biggest mistakes that corporations make when it comes to tech?
Ooh,
Or just small businesses? What or businesses in general? Like what kind of
when it comes to
mistakes?
tech.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what are
yeah.
we doing wrong out there?
I would say technology debt is a real thing. So a lot of times people want to save
Oh,
money
mm,
on technology because their computer works, even though it's out of warranty, it's fine. You know, I'm gonna save a little bit now just so that I don't have to deal with it later, or or just so that I don't have to deal with the financial cost. And the
yes.
longer you put technology on hold, the riskier your situation becomes. And because we rely, as organizations, we tend to rely so heavily on technology now. And so thinking about the the security impact that your organization would deal with if you did not have um, your files backed up properly, if you don't have
Mm,
your software up to date, and all of that, like that all creates technology debt. And so you really have to be thinking forward about what you're going to require from a technology standpoint. It's kind of like
mhm.
insurance. If you don't have insurance on your house, then if something happens, you're going to have to spend a whole bunch of money, right? And you might not get
Right,
everything back. Same thing
right.
happens with technology. If you are not paying into your technology and keeping it up to date, then you're going to end up like there will be something that happens, whether it's some sort of a security breach,
Yeah.
something breaks down, you lose your files, you can't get them back up. Um, and so, yeah, so it's hard to look after things that don't seem broken, you know? And so, but it's important to do it before it's broken. So it's important to
Yeah.
be a little bit more proactive when it comes to the technology.
Yeah, for sure. I think that in general, that's a lot of the way so many of us live. Well,
Yeah,
if it's not broken, don't fix it.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember in real estate going, well, does it work? Yeah,
then
but
it's fine.
but it's really old. Not
Yeah,
not our problem. Go buy something new then.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
but in reality, it's gonna break.
It is.
It is.
So, yes.
Eventually it's going to break. And I think that you're so right. Is now that's a totally different little scenario. But when you talk about businesses and
Yeah.
corporations, like even for myself, I'm a small entrepreneur. I've got a
Yeah.
couple
Yeah.
people working with me, but I have books, I have
Yeah.
manuscripts, I
Exactly.
have, databases, all of those
Yes.
kinds of things. And
Yeah.
heaven forbid. Oh, a friend of mine who is big on social media,
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of followers, she got kicked off Facebook for
Oh
nothing,
no. Oh
nothing.
no.
But guess what happened?
What happened?
Her business was gone because
Oh
she was
no.
relying on
Yes.
that social
Yes.
media.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the same similar type of thing. Like
It is.
heaven
Yeah.
forbid you've got a big corporation and all of a sudden all their
Everything's
contacts are
gone.
gone.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you need to have backups of those things. You need to make sure that you've thought through all of the components that are important to your business, so that you have a recovery plan in place, all of those
Yeah.
things, right?
Yes.
And basic security measures too. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't, you don't have to go crazy, but I think that if, MFA, multi-factor authentication, those types of things are very, very, very important for businesses
Yeah.
um, to take the right steps towards being secure.
Yeah. What would
Mhm.
you say to the small entrepreneur out there, kind of like
Yeah.
me, who's just, plugging
Yeah.
along? Like, what kind of things do we need to keep an eye out on, or what should we be looking for?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the things that I would be looking at it depends on your environment, right?
Mm.
And depends on how you're set up. Um, but but keeping your data secure, making sure that you have good backups for everything, that's super, super important. Um, the way that that scammers are moving,
Oh,
it's real, and we see this a lot. And so making sure that you do have strong passwords, strong password protection, and multi-factor authentication, those types of things, that's key, of course. There's also, like now you can get cyber insurance. It's something to look at depending on
mm,
how how much your business might be impacted in the event of a breach.
right.
But yeah, like those are just minimal things. Looking to make sure that your technology is up to date. So,
Yes.
and that's because a lot of the upgrades and updates won't happen if your equipment and hardware is too out of date, right? If it's unsupported, then it's not even going to get any of these upgrades, and those are important.
I
So yeah,
have a little laptop that I need to take to somebody. I
yeah,
can't seem
exactly,
to I
exactly.
can't
Just keep it
update my
updated.
Windows.
Yes.
It's been a couple of years now.
Sure. Yeah. That's fair. You're not alone. So,
No,
yes.
no,
Yeah.
I know. That's the problem though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too that so often, especially with the smaller entrepreneurs, I
Yeah.
think sometimes they just think, "Oh, that's not
It's not
important."
going to happen to me. It's not a big deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
and even larger organizations think that too, right? But
Yes.
with every person that you add into your organization, you're just compounding the risk,
Right.
because a lot of them are it just grows with every new computer you bring in, with every new person,
Yeah.
and their experience with technology, what they're downloading, and all of that. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
So let me just check one more thing here that I had.
Yeah.
So founders, that's what I wanted to talk to you about because I deal a lot with founders.
Okay.
So I guess it would be like small business, but the people who are founding, like I'm the founder of the Women
Yeah.
Like Me Stories in Business, right?
Yeah.
So, so what would you say to founders? How can they start? How can they have more clarity through all the chaos that they're dealing with?
Oh man. Okay. So what I would say, clarity in the chaos that they're dealing with. When we are going through times of great chaos and change, I think the most important thing for us is to know our roles, and to
Mm,
know, so thinking about our accountabilities, and leaning on each other so that we have the clarity of what our expectations are. So much comes down to expectations. So if I as so I Luke is the president, I'm the CEO, and if and Luke is the founder as well. And so he has a very clear set of accountabilities. And I have a very clear set of accountabilities. Our leadership team all has a clear set of accountabilities. And
Mhm.
oftentimes what happens is when we're changing things or things seem chaotic, it's because the accountabilities become somewhat unclear. And so then you begin expecting things from people, and they are not expecting those things of themselves. And so having an enormous amount of communication and clarity around who's doing what and why, I think that is very important. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, and I feel that for sure in our leadership team when we're talking about, we're bringing in this new customer journey at Accurate now, and in this customer journey, there's so many nuances and changes that we have to make at so many different levels of the organization, and so and things get missed because you don't know who's responsible for it.
Mhm.
And because no one was responsible for it previously. And so now we're adding this thing and it's a small thing, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And so, so clarity on expectations and
Mm.
accountabilities, lots of communication. Luke and I talk all the time. We talk very regularly, and we stay aligned. And so, so I think that that's also very key to keeping that clarity in chaos.
And I think too that's fabulous advice for growth. If somebody wants to
Yeah.
start to grow and you're going to
Mhm.
bring people in, it's you know we're it's funny because as an entrepreneur who
Yeah.
works, by themselves or with a very
Yeah.
small group,
Yeah.
it's all in your head.
Yeah.
And so you
Yeah.
think, oh, well, and you think they know, but really they don't
Yes.
know. You
Yeah.
have to train them and teach them and tell them and bring them into the fold.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
rather
Now,
than, yeah,
have you dabbled in AI at all?
I
ChatGPT?
have. I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Have
Yes.
you ever done like a master prompt where you say to ChatGPT, act as my business partner and
Oh my
tell
goodness.
me,
No, but
yeah.
I'm going to.
Okay, yeah. So it's kind of a cool thing because even if I'm trying to get some clarity in my own mind,
Yeah.
and I'm not necessarily ready to talk about it with other people, I might throw it into ChatGPT and say, okay, act as my business coach. I have a 60-person MSP. We manage service provider, and we are wanting to change the structure on this side of the business. This is what I'm thinking. Tell me what I'm not considering, or tell me what the risks are here. And then it'll populate a bunch of things. You can talk back and forth to it. But again, it just kind of helps frame things differently, because that bounce
Mhm.
back and that sounding board I think is super important. So even as a solo entrepreneur, you always have AI. So
Well, and when you were talking, I thought to myself, for those people who maybe are want to grow or they want to
yeah.
make these changes, but they're in fear and they don't want to talk
Mhm.
to somebody else about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
throw it in there. Just
Yeah.
don't take it as the Bible, but
No, no,
you
for
know, but
sure.
but for sure it can help to
Yeah.
give you some different ideas, a
Yeah.
different thought. Oh, I never thought of it in that way because we think in the
Yeah.
way we think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that advice.
Right?
That's great. That's just
Okay, good.
fabulous. Fabulous advice. Yeah. I've got a women's network that I'm going to on Wednesday night. I'm going to
Oh,
tell them
nice.
all that they should all do that. I think that's,
Yes. Yeah.
that's very good. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Well, Bente, this has been fabulous. Is there anything that you would like to share in closing? I know I have one more thing I want to say
Yeah.
before that.
Yeah.
So, does your company can they work anywhere?
Yeah. So we mostly work in Alberta. We do have, so most of our most of our clients at least have their head office in Alberta. So
Yes.
some of them will have branch offices in BC or in Ontario or Saskatchewan. And so we have partners that will be able to support
Ah,
those offices, but remotely we can work anywhere. And
yes.
if the customer needs boots on the ground, then we have some partners across Canada. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the great thing about the internet.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
can work with anybody anywhere.
Yeah, it's
I think,
true. It's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, so now what I wanted to say
sure.
was that Bente's information is going to be in the show notes. So you'll be able to reach out to her if you have questions, if you're interested in possibly looking at getting some safety for your company and your system, you can always reach out to her there as well. So that will be there. So don't be shy. As you can see, she's open, she's fabulous, and she's helpful. And so don't be shy and reach out with any questions that you might have for her. Bente, what would you like to say to all of our fabulous entrepreneurs out there that are listening in closing?
I think I would just encourage everyone to put yourselves out there and boldly go even before you're feeling ready to do so.
I love that. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here and being willing to share your wisdom with everybody. There's so many. I learned some. I just love this. I just learn stuff all the time. So
It's a
So
good gig.
I, yeah, so I certainly did learn some things that I'm going to be able to think about and maybe put into practice for myself. And so thank you so much for being willing to do this and to give us your time. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Julie. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, we're going to sign off now. So we will see you again next time on the next episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business.